Hey, it's your girl Shani, the Jamaican Chatterbox, and we're here with another episode of Organized Chaos. Today's episode is going to be powered by Java Coffee. I start my mornings with a little Java coffee in my cup, and I'm guaranteed to step with a little bit more confidence. So last year in 2025, David and I went on a Greek cruise. That was amazing. I would recommend it to anybody. We started our Greek cruise in Athens. Now, when you go somewhere, you want to do what the place is known for. We went to the first Olympic stadium in Athens. So, of course, if you're going to be in the Olympic stadium, what you ain't doing there? Go run. So David and I pretended to run, because if you know anything about me, I'm certainly not a runner. We pretended to have this race, and a friend of mine was there, and she's actually filming us. On the marks, get set, go. We take off, pretending to take off, but unfortunately, I had on these long, flowy palazzo pants, not meant for running. So while we are running, starting to run, the breeze blew my pant leg under my foot, and I tripped and dropped. Shani did not only just trip and drop, it was a stop, drop, and roll. It was a kin pupa lick. It was a keel over. It was not the most graceful drop you would have seen. Mid-drop, I kind of thought in that split second, dear God, I think my hip has dislocated. The pain was excruciating, but it only lasted for just like a millisecond. After I licked the ground, drop and roll, I sat there with just all these thoughts flying through my head going, Jesus Christ, is it broken? Jesus Christ, did I dislocate it? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So I sat there, and this is all happening in just seconds. My girlfriend is still filming, They asked me if I'm okay, and I kind of giggle it off, and she continues filming and making fun and mockery of the stop, drop, and roll, right? I get up. I'm trying to feel, is my leg still attached to my body? Can I step with it? And yes, very much, the leg is still attached. I step. I feel pain. I'm walking. I kind of said to David, yo, I think I bitched up my hip. It's a problem, but I'm good. I can walk. This is on day 1 of a 2-week vacation. So every night I'm on this trip, I'm just popping painkillers to be able to handle what's going to come the next day, because you best believe my stop, drop, and roll is not going to mash up my vacation. I've done paid for a 2-week vacation. I have lots to see and lots to do. With the pain in my hip, I was climbing the steps of Santorini. I was all over the place, enjoying myself. I get back to Jamaica. I'm still popping painkillers. I'm assuming it's just a torn groin muscle or something, because I'm feeling a lot of the discomfort and pain more in my groin than anywhere else. But I am so used to operating with pain. I have pain from my head to my toe on a regular basis. So pain is nothing new for me. And pushing through pain is certainly nothing new for me. I get back to teaching my classes. I am doing my regular stuff. I'm on my spin bike. I'm pushing. Because that's what us women do. We push all the time, forgetting that pain is a telltale sign that something really isn't right. But us women feel that we push through everything. 1 week turns into a month, which turns into, all right, Shani, I think you need to go and get this hip checked out. Something don't feel right. I go to my orthopedic out here in Jamaica, and I say to him, I have a funny feeling I have done some serious damage in my hip, and I think I've actually torn my labrum. So I actually diagnosed myself, but I went to the actual doctor for them to send me for some scans. I did an MRI that showed, your girl completely ripped her labrum off of her hip socket. What is a labrum? So let's get into some anatomy here. I love teach. Your hip socket, you have the head of your femur, you have the socket itself. When the round part, that head of the femur, is inside of your hip socket, which is like a cup, there is a ring of cartilage right around the edge of your hip socket that acts like basically the lips of your mouth. It creates a suction seal so that your hip is not just wiggling around in there. That femur head is not banging around and just swinging loosely. The doctor explained it pretty well to me. The lips that are the labrum that creates that vacuum seal. Picture if you had a lollipop in your mouth. If you kept your mouth open, you could swing that lollipop loosely. If you close your lips on the lollipop stick and suck, that's a suction seal. You can't pop the lollipop out easily. That's basically the head of your femur, your hip socket, and the labrum, the lips around creating that seal. Shani tore her lips completely off of the socket. So now my femoral head, that ball and socket, is just bouncing around in the socket. So that's the first thing. I get now sent to another doctor to give me further diagnosis and what is the plan of action. How I go fix this and make the pain stop so I can go about my business. I go to the second doctor and he says to me, I now need to have hip arthroscopic surgery to repair this torn labrum, and I need to stitch back this cartilage back onto my hip socket. And he notices that a piece of my cartilage has also chipped off. So I have a floating piece of cartilage somewhere in my hip. He's not seeing it on the MRI. So he needs to find it and take it out. He then tells me, boy, Shani, we're going to have to take cartilage from your knee to repair the cartilage in your hip. I am not on messing with my knees to fix my hip. I'm kind of like, why am I going to create a new problem in a different area? Knowing very well I teach fitness and I jump and prance and I use my knees every day of life. So I then get 5 opinions in Jamaica that yes, you need to have this surgery, but it is best suited if I go away to the States to get it. Jamaica does not do cartilage replacement using a donor cartilage. They would take the cartilage from my knee to repair the cartilage in my hip. Anyway, I go to Florida. I find an amazing surgeon, a Jamaican surgeon actually, Dr. James Bullock. If anybody needs a surgeon in Florida, I can strongly recommend him. I go, he says, yes, this is the best thing that we're going to do. You can get donor cartilage, you don't have to take it from your knee. Great. I do my surgery. The surgery goes from a scheduled 2-hour surgery into a 5-hour surgery. I did so much damage in my hip from that little tiny drop in Greece. And I mean, if you see this fall that I had, it was the simplest and the stupidest trip and fall you would ever see in your life. Nothing about that fall would say, Shani, you have truly screwed up your hip. I mean, torn up cartilage, fractured hip socket. I actually did dislocate my hip in that fall. So when I fell and the hip dislocated and came out, it snapped back in. And by doing that, when it hit back against my hip socket or the acetabulum, it actually fractured my hip socket. And it fractured it in a very weird position. So when the doctor saw my scans, they actually said they were dumbfounded. How could a simple trip and tumble create so much damage? 1, hip dislocation. 2, fractured hip socket. 3, ripped my labrum completely off of my hip socket. 4, chipped off cartilage from my femoral head and inside my hip socket. Cartilage went missing. I showed them the video. They're still dumbfounded. So my surgeon in the States said he didn't expect a regular fall to create so much damage. So he asked me to go and do a particular CT scan to measure my bone density and to see the difference from my right hip to my left hip. Okay? He is expecting he's going to find something telling with that scan. When the scan came back, bottom line is my hips were normal. There was nothing more that would have explained that major damage that had happened to my hip. Cut this very long story short. You see, Shani, at the ripe age of 46 years old, I have met a new friend in my life who has decided to wreak havoc and speak loudly in my life. And her name is Peri. Perimenopause does a lot of things. And I came to realize that weakening bone density is one of them. So yes, I was strong and I have been fit and I have been doing fitness for the past 15 years. But perimenopause does so much to us women that we don't even stop to realize the simple things that we're going through can be related to the change in our hormones. So with that, after going through all of that with a little boom, flick, drop and roll, broke up my hip, wondering what could have caused it, the diminishing hormones have started weakening my bones. So when people say, boy, trying about a drop when you're over a certain age, there is so much truth to that. Now, let me explain a little bit about what perimenopause is, because people look at me and they think, you're only 46 years old. Why would you be having any issues with perimenopause? People think when you enter perimenopause or menopause, it is something that happens when your period stops and that's it. Perimenopause is a time period before your period actually stops. Perimenopause actually starts when we're in our 30s. Many people think it only starts when you're in your 50s. So, rule of thumb, anywhere from 35 years old to late 40s is when perimenopause runs. Perimenopause is declining hormones. So once your hormones have reached their peak and you're at the prime of your womanhood, and then it starts falling off, and the first sign of diminishing hormones, that is when perimenopause starts. And it can last for 10 years, 15 years, even 20 years. Menopause is basically that one day in your cycle when you finally have stopped seeing your period and you've gone maybe 12 months of not seeing your period. So menopause is really one day in your cycle. Perimenopause is that long period that we're going, that all of these things change. There are really around 7 hormones that are related to perimenopause, the diminishing of 7 hormones. But we tend to talk about the most common ones. The 3 most common hormones that we start losing in perimenopause, the obvious, estrogen, then progesterone, then testosterone. That's what we tend to speak the most about. But the other 4 are FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, cortisol, and your thyroid hormone. So in another episode, we'll get into the 4 latter hormones. But right now, I'm going to touch on how the first 3 hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, have affected me personally on my journey with perimenopause. I can't tell you what day I woke up and I was like, ratted Shani, you're actually now in perimenopause. It was never a, oh my God, it's here type of moment for me. But after a while, I just started seeing certain things happening to me. I started going through certain experiences, similar like when I did boom, flick, and fall last year and broke up my hip, and noticed that how did I fracture my hip socket despite being strong, healthy, flexible? That was due to diminishing estrogen. When your estrogen level drops, it affects so many aspects of your body. It gives you more brittle bones. That was one of my very obvious telltale signs. We speak to women about exercising, lifting weights to strengthen your bone density, taking certain supplements like ensuring that you're having your vitamin D and your calcium, because weakened bones are a true and very real side effect and symptom of perimenopause. That I've experienced for myself. One of the very frustrating experiences for me with losing and diminished estrogen are heart palpitations and increased anxiety. Now, with my increased anxiety, I can feel it and experience it, not just with what's happening in my head and the fluttering of my heart. I will wake up and I'll be gasping my breath, kind of like, oh my God, something bad is going to happen. That feeling in my chest. Nothing is pending, nothing is happening. I literally woke up with it. Just my heart racing, and I kind of have to catch my breath to calm myself. Two hormones are at play right there. Estrogen, which affects cardiovascular experiences. There's a whole list of what happens when estrogen drops and how it affects your heart. But also progesterone is something that affects our anxiety, our emotions, our mood. It keeps us calmer. So when those two things diminish and fluctuate, that is what is so hard about perimenopause. It's not a steady decline of the hormones. It's a fluctuation of the hormones. So you're not declining just, oh, we're coming off of the hill, nice and smooth, and we can prepare for it. That's not what's happening. You're coming down, then all of a sudden it starts to rise again, then it drop again, then it peak again. So that constant changing of the hormones and the fluctuations just has us on this crazy, wild roller coaster. So I started having these anxiety attacks, just out of the blue, left field. Nothing would preempt it. It would just come on sporadically. And I couldn't quite articulate to my husband what I was feeling or even to the doctor. And keep in mind, when it first starts, you don't realize that. But backside, this is related to perimenopause. There's a reason for what I'm experiencing. I'm just kind of going along, wondering, why am I having these anxiety attacks? Nothing is happening. I'm not awaiting one of my talks or, oh my goodness, if something is going on with my business, I know my anxiety is. No, I would just wake up with these random experiences. When it dawned on me how much it was related to something I couldn't control, but it was physically happening to me. You see, after I went through my fractured hip last year, and after I went through doing the hip surgery, they put me on blood thinners, and they told me that one of the side effects of doing hip surgery, doing the hip arthroscopic surgery, any hip surgery, you have to look out for blood clots. So they said, if you have any sensations in your chest, if you feel like your heart is racing, if shortness of breath, go to the hospital, get checked out, because you could run the risk of getting a DVT. You could run the risk of having a pulmonary embolism. So I became mindful after my surgery. Came home, leading up to the 4-week marker after my surgery, I was once again having one of my mini panic attacks where I felt my heart starting to race. I felt the palpitations in my chest. And I grabbed my oximeter that I actually keep on my bedside table since I know these sensations started happening. I put the oximeter on my chest because I'm now feeling, oh my God, I'm having a slight shortness of breath. Oh my God, I'm having some palpitations. I'm having a sensation in my chest. Should I go to the hospital? Should I say something to David beside me? I'm having all of these thoughts in my head, and I'm having this heaviness and this feeling in my chest, which I've been having for approximately 2 years. But because I know I just did surgery 4 weeks ago, and they told me if I have any sensation in my chest, check out these sensations, check out these feelings, go to the doctor, don't take it lightly. I put the oximeter on my finger, and I'm just kind of calmly watching what's happening with my heart rate. Now, keep in mind, I'm lying in my bed. All I'm doing is watching TV with my husband. That's all I'm doing. I'm not walking stairs. I'm not getting up and going. I'm lying down flat on my back. I'm looking at the oximeter. Now, keep in mind, when I'm normally lying down and watching TV, my heart rate is around 60. If I'm sleeping and not doing anything at all, my heart rate, because I do so much cardio, is about 50. I'm looking at the oximeter, and my heart rate is now at 75. And I'm seeing it climbing. It goes 75, 80, 81, 82, 83, and it's just increasing. I am doing nothing but lying down. All of a sudden, the oximeter reaches 100, 105. Normally, for my heart rate to be 105, I'd be walking up a flight of stairs. Then all of a sudden, you see it start dropping again. 100, 98, 82, 81, 76, 62, 59. Then it starts climbing again. I am doing absolutely nothing. I'm just looking at this oximeter, reading my heart rate. And as I'm feeling those sensations in my chest and my anxiety is racing, I'm just watching my heart rate peak. I think it reached maybe 106. And I said to David, look at the oximeter. This is what I've been telling you. For the past 2 years, I've been feeling in my chest. I now finally had evidence to support what I've been feeling all this time. So when people are telling me, oh, Shani, you're having an anxiety attack, just take some deep breaths, calm yourself down. It's not something psychological in our heads. And many times we speak to our partners, we speak to our husbands, we're telling some of the doctors what we're feeling, and they're downplaying our symptoms. They're downplaying what we're going through. Like it's all in our heads. Well, I could show physically, this shit ain't in my head anymore. It's now reading on the oximeter. It's showing that my heart rate is now racing. There's something physical that's actually happening in my body. The changes with perimenopause physically is happening in our bodies. And I am tired of people downplaying women's experiences like, Lord, she just like to overreact. Lord, she just like to complain. It's all in her head. Maybe if you just exercised more, it would. Maybe if you would. This is our reality. Every day we wake up with a new symptom. Peri comes to visit me and she brings a new gift that I did not ask for, but yet I have to accept it. So I've experienced an increased brittleness of my bones. I fractured my hip. I'm experiencing the heart palpitations and the racing of my heart with the anxiety attacks. I was experiencing for years a diminished libido, just wondering, why don't I feel for sex anymore? I love my husband. He's sexy as hell. When we do have sex and I'm enjoying it, it's through the roof. But I was going through time periods where I just did not feel for it. And if any woman understands this, if any woman is like me, if she is not in the mood, she is not in the mood. And if you're in a marriage, sex is an important part of marriage. Sex is something that connects you and your husband or you and your partner. It allows them to plug in and intimacy to deepen between the two of you. So if every minute I'm telling David, Lord, honey, I'm not in the mood for it. Lord, not tonight. And one night went into 2 nights, went into a week, goes into 2 weeks. I'm just not feeling for it. And I would feel guilty not feeling for it. Vaginal dryness is something that sometimes I'd be dry, sometimes I wasn't. And I couldn't understand what is going on with her. Why won't she comply with what I'm telling her to do? So I've experienced the diminished libido. Libido is not just your desire for sex, but libido is also just your zest for life. I was not feeling like I'm enjoying life and things are happening and it's good things, but I'm just not feeling great about what's going on. Estrogen, testosterone, what was playing a major factor in my loss of libido, my diminished energy level, and not to mention, I just want to chew out everybody. My level of irritability went through the roof. I would go from 0 to 100, oh my God, in seconds. No sports car could beat me with how I could accelerate with my irritability. I'd be chewing out my kids, I would chew out my husband, and I don't want to feel like this. And when I'm speaking with David and trying to explain to him, no part of me wants to be a raging ogre. No part of me wants to be a miserable bitch to my children or to him. No part of me wants to feel like this. If I could escape my own body, I would. If I could have an out-of-body experience, I go, you know what, Shani? You're being an angry, raising bitch. I don't feel like being around you. I would take away myself and I would put pause on me. But I can't do that. Us women can't escape ourselves when we're feeling, time out for you. We're stuck with us. We're not choosing to function like this and to behave like this. One of the other symptoms I've been struggling with for years, I struggle with sleep. Sleep is another major aspect for women going through perimenopause. But I've always struggled with sleep, even before I had symptoms of perimenopause. So I didn't even know when it became more perimenopausal versus this has just been me my entire life. But if you're lacking in sleep, it's going to affect all your hormone productions. Sleep is what's going to orchestrate a healthy environment for your hormones to function in and to operate how it should be. Things to work together, things to be in tandem. I was going years with lack of sleep, and eventually my doctor said to me, Shani, you need to get a better handle on your sleep if you expect healing to happen in your body, to expect your other hormones to start firing how they should. So let's put you on a mild sedative to see if we can control what's going on with your sleep. Nobody wants to go on a sedative and a sleep aid. You don't want to do anything that's going to be addictive. But he said the damage that's going to happen to me for lack of sleep, damage to your nerves, the list is endless with what happens when you're not sleeping properly. I decided to go on a sedative, and I was on a sedative for about 2 years. I stayed on this sedative every night. The one I chose, because I've tried many of them would make me feel groggy the following morning. And if you're like me and you weren't sleeping, waking up groggy now from a medically induced sleep is going to defeat why you took the sedative in the first place. I didn't want to feel hungover or drunk in the morning from a sedative. So he put me on one and it was working. I would finally get some sleep. I then went on to using more natural and holistic ways of assisting my sleep, using melatonin, and I've tried many things. Valerian root, a whole list of natural supplements. Something I've been using right now, along with my melatonin, I do take magnesium every night. One of the symptoms that us women get during perimenopause is very achy joints, just a random achiness. Yes, I know that as we age, arthritis is a very real thing, but the change in hormones, especially estrogen and testosterone, those two really affect our joints. I have found that taking magnesium glycinate in particular have reduced how achy my hands feel. So every night I take my magnesium glycinate. And let me tell you something, I suck at taking tablets. I suck at being on such a regimented routine of taking tablets and supplements. I don't like it, but I also don't like how I've been feeling. So you have to choose which hard you're going to work with. My aches and pains, my foggy brain, my drop in libido, my low energy level, all of that is hard. Taking tablets every day, finding the supplement that works for me, constantly trying trial and error, that's hard. I have to choose my hard. All it's hard. All of it is extremely hard, but I have to choose which of the hards I'm going to work with. So I'm on this path and on this journey just to make my life more manageable and for me to enjoy the experiences that I'm having. The aches and the pains, them are nice. They are not nice. The irritability that I'm feeling, it's not nice. The chewing out my husband or my kids and seeing how they relate to me and they have to walk around eggshells with me, it's not nice. I don't like knowing I'm making them uncomfortable. So yeah, I want to improve my life and how I'm feeling, but I also want to improve what my family is experiencing with me. People don't realize that when women go through perimenopause and as we transition into menopause, it can break down relationships and it can break down marriage. I've seen many marriages fail, and they fail. It's not only because of what the woman was going through and the hormonal shifts and her behavioral changes, but it was a huge factor. I spoke to a doctor who said she was able to save a few marriages by balancing the woman's hormones. For the men who actually listen to my chats and my rants, and support your wives, support the women in your life. Realize that what we're going through is not by choice. We never choose this. We never choose for hormones to go haywire. We never choose for the weight gain and the brittle bones. We never choose to have these achy joints, the foggy brains and losing our words. We didn't choose to have these panic attacks and for our hearts to be palpitating. We didn't choose any of it, but it's the hand that we're dealt with. But you can choose to give us the support. Help us find the research that works for us. Let us know we have a supportive husband that's going to go through this experience with us, because you did promise till death do us part. David has admitted to me that since I've been speaking to him more about this, since he's been doing his own research, he can operate from a place of better understanding and he can help me navigate this new path. It's not going to be fixed in one day. It's not going to be fixed in 5 years. It may not be fixed in 10 years, but you best believe I'm going to die trying. There are many different avenues that you can get the support, and it's not cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. I have so far tried testosterone replacements. I haven't replaced all my hormones, but I took a break from that. I am going to be going back on full hormone replacement, but unfortunately I can't do it right now. Why? Since doing that surgery, my hip arthroscopic surgery, I did develop a blood clot. And once you have a DVT, deep vein thrombosis, hormone replacement, one of the side effects are DVTs. So the doctor said right now, until we figure out what caused my DVT, they can't put me back on hormone replacement. I'm doing everything else organically, naturally, that can help me. But all the women I have referred to doctors to go on hormone replacement, they have sung the praises for how they feel. They have sung the praises with it helping their hormones. So we're going to keep this conversation going. We're going to keep speaking about perimenopause, the friend that comes by that gives us gifts that we did not ask, but we're forced to accept. We're going to keep speaking about the different symptoms that many of us are experiencing that nobody really wants to talk about because we either feel embarrassed or ashamed by it. We're going to keep speaking about what really is happening to our bodies with perimenopause. But we're going to leave with the understanding that perimenopause is 7 hormones basically that we're looking at. 7 hormones. People only speak about estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. But remember, we're also dealing with FSH, LH, cortisol, and thyroid hormones. So I'll produce a few more of these episodes where we're going to be tackling more of these things, the different symptoms we're having. But just know, ladies, you're not alone, and giving up is not an option. You can't run away from yourself, so might as well work with the vessel that you have, and let's fix and improve what we can. We're going to save marriages here. We're going to save the relationship with our kids. We're going to continue collecting moments that are fun to remember, positive, and start to feel good in our skin. Yeah, that's what this time period is teaching me. Despite all of the chaos that's happening in my life and in my body, I am going to ensure that I feel good in this skin. Every fold, every crevice, every nook, every cranny, every stretch mark that I am riddled with, this is the body that I have. This is the body that is serving me. And I am going to honor this body. I'm going to love her in all shapes and forms. And trust me, there's a lot of shapes and a lot of forms to this body right now, but I'm going to honor it. And I'm going to continue carrying you on this journey with me, with this chaotic life that we live, because you're not alone. And I'm here to share my experiences with you that you can learn from me, and you can share with me what your experiences are. And we continue to build this beautiful community. So until we speak again, let's keep this chatter going. It's all about community.